According to Wikipedia, an oligopoly is a market in which control over an industry lies in the hands of a few large sellers who own a dominant share of the market. As a result of their significant market power, these large sellers can influence prices through manipulating the supply function. The word oligopoly comes from the ancient Greek words oligos, meaning few, and polio, meaning sell. So, few who sell. Wikipedia also states that a business oligarch is generally a business magnate who controls sufficient resources to influence national politics. In Canada, we don't have oligarchs. We call them extremely rich wealthy individuals or wealthy families. Let's take 3 Canadian industries as an example: airlines, banking, and telecommunications. Canada's airline industry is dominated by 2 companies, banking by the Big 5 banks, and telecommunications by 3 big players. The few who sell. These few sell their services to all Canadians, to 40 million customers. If only the few players are allowed to sell in these sectors, that fulfills the definition of an oligopoly. It means that airlines, banking, and telecommunications in Canada are 3 separate oligopolies. Canada's airline industry oligopoly is actually a duopoly, dominated by 2 airlines. For Canadians, this means high prices, delays, inflexible terms, and often poor customer service. Our banking oligopoly is dominated by 5 big banks. For consumers, this means expensive, below-average services, poor internet banking, obsolete ATM machines, and more. Services available to the general public in other countries are labeled as VIP in Canada, and our banks charge an arm and a leg for them. The Canadian telecommunications oligopoly is dominated by 3 monopolies. This means overpriced and painfully obsolete and inflexible services, poor cell phone coverage, and extremely slow implementation of new technologies. In Australia, which is comparable with Canada, prices are much lower, coverage much better, and innovation much faster. In Australia, in the EU and in the US, customers pay $30 per month for a cell phone plan which costs $60 plus per month in Canada. This provides Canadian companies with an extra 50% in profit, coming straight from their customers' pockets. This profit is gained thanks to the lack of choice and lack of competition on the Canadian market, supported by the Canadian government. Other countries laugh at us big time. Canadian oligopolies are a Jurassic Park of incompetitive companies in various industries. Old, heavy, ineffective, and slow. There are only 2 explanations for this situation. A. The companies involved in oligopolies don't know how to work effectively. They are incompetent business people, and everything they touch falls apart. Or B. They know what they are doing and are just using Canadian consumers as their cash cows, milking them to the extreme. What do oligarchs do with their extra unfair profit? Well, oligarchs would buy properties. Canadians, very well done. You just paid for the property, but you don't own even an inch of it. And what else would the oligarchs do? Secure more profit through their political connections by making donations to political parties or individual politicians, thus ensuring that they maintain the market's status quo and keep competitors out of Canada. What would oligarchs do to make sure that politicians keep their promises and to maintain a positive self-image? They would buy media companies and TV stations. This strategy complements what we've discussed. Try Googling who is behind some of the media in Canada. Imagine that you are one of the lucky chosen sellers. The government decides that you and your 2 friends will be the only ones offering certain services on the Canadian market. Fantastic, right? You don't even need to know how to run a business or how to market or sell your product or services, simply because your potential customer has no other choice. They must buy from you or your 2 friends. You would get very rich, very fast. It's like winning a jackpot. And that's how it is with Canadian oligopolies. The government begging oligopolies to lower the prices would not help. Decisive action would help. Bringing competitors into the market would help. What would happen if the government allowed international competitors to do business in Canada? The current big players would either adapt or would be eaten by the competitors. Services would be faster, better, and more affordable. You would see your money transferred to you tomorrow instead of in 3 days. You would get a better connection and coverage for your cell phone, and you'd have access to more flights at lower prices. Customer service would improve significantly, from grumpy to happy. All of us would win a jackpot.